Today's theme is manifesting your reality, but in such a way that it does not become driven purely by the personality construct. And I would love for you all to see and realize and experience how those are not two contradicting flows. So by those two flows, I mean the personality structure is actually caused by not effortlessly creating a reality, not being in your flow, not being in your joy, not being free. So it may seem that manifesting your reality is a statement of egotism, a statement of assertion and the personality being at work. But really, the personality is only at work in the first place. It's only rigid. It's only solid in the first place because we've not given it what it desires. And by it, I don't really actually refer to the personality structure. I refer to you as a being, you as an inseparable, plugged-in portion of creation. You need juice. You need flow. You need love. You need appreciation. You need to appreciate your existence and the uniqueness that comes with that. And the uniqueness that comes with that is in the form of desire. It's in the form of passion, the form of inspiration, the form of being psyched, being stoked, being excited. That is the juice that connects you, that makes you actually person transcendent rather than person based. So let's start at the basis, at the beginning, in a sense. The beginning being the start of your personality structure. And when I refer to a personality structure, I mean one optional personality structure out of many. And that one personality structure became yours, in other words, became rigid, became tight, became solid, became who you were, who you identified with, precisely because you never learned to offer it the juice of life, to plug it in to all that is. And the way to plug that personality construct in to all that is through that joy. It is through that inspiration. It is through that passion that then naturally creates your life, creates or manifests your reality. So when we deprive who we are from being plugged in to the main line, so to speak, plugged into all that is, the motherboard that connects everything that exists. And again, being plugged in feels like being turned on, being excited, being in joy, being in peace, being in love, being in appreciation, being in gratitude, being in bliss, being in ecstasy, being inspired, being turned on. When we deprive ourselves from that, also when we deprive ourselves from that out of the idea that it's egotistical to plug ourselves into joy, into freedom, into bliss, into expansion, into creation. When we deprive ourselves from being plugged in, that's when the substitute mind kicks in, the substitute servant, which some call the ego. What substitute servant will do? It's a substitute for you not serving, you not vibrationally, consciously taking care of your flow, of being plugged in as often as you can be. And so when you learn to not plug yourself into the motherboard of all that is, that connects you to the best interests of all beings connected, when you are unplugged, that's when, in that sense, shit hits the fan. When it becomes messy, when the unplugged personality, the personality structure that you're most familiar with, the moment you unplug yourself, that's sort of what lingers as a ghost that is unconnected to all that is, unconnected to its higher self, cut off from the juice. And then what does it want to do? It wants to gather that juice from wherever it can on its own autonomous, seemingly autonomous, unconscious, automatic, conditioned basis. And so it's a personality construct overly identified with and, in that sense, reckless, needy, believing it has lack. And it does, in that sense, because we're depriving it of being tapped into the motherboard of all that is. Does that make sense so far? Is that experience clear to you in your own life? Can you see that in your past, in your present, perhaps? So all kinds of funny ideas start to exist when you live in a society where everyone learns to unplug themselves. So you get all these ghosts, all these personality constructs interacting with each other based on lack, reinforcing in each other that lack is the truth of reality, when it's the only thing that can never be. Out of everything that can be, it's the only thing that can never exist. But everyone believes it's the reality, the nature of reality. And so you get these very funny, dysfunctional relationships, and experiences. And you start to wish for other people that they don't plug themselves in. And other people start to wish for you that you don't plug yourself in. Because when you do, it's sinful. When you do, it's egotistical. When you do, it's arrogant. When you do, it's not spiritual, etc. When you do, you're not obeying your parents. When you do, you're not obeying your religion. When you do, you're free. And being free is dangerous, no? It's very dangerous. It's dangerous to all those that are not plugged in, either, seemingly, or that don't know that they are plugged in.